We're living in the age of the unfunny comedian, the comedian who really attempts to be a political commentator, who has given up the genuine profession of comedy. And John Oliver is the latest entry into this genre. Here is Oliver commenting on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Listen.
Look, there is a real tendency, particularly in America, to both sides this situation. And I'm not saying that there aren't some areas where that's warranted, but it's important to recognise there are also areas where it's simply not. Both sides are firing rockets, but one side has one of the most advanced militaries in the world. Both sides are suffering heartbreaking casualties, but one side is suffering them exponentially. And it's not like the US is operating from the moral high ground here. It's obviously no stranger to drone-striking weddings and saying, we were just trying to target enemy combatants. This country has blood on its hands too.
Now, it may seem odd to say, but I kind of agree with John Oliver. This is not a case where both sides are equally responsible. This is not a case of sort of both-siderism. You know why? One side started the firing of rockets, started the hostilities. That was Hamas. The other side responded. There's a great difference between starting a fight and then responding to it. Number two, one side is our ally and the other is not. Israel is our ally, they're our friend. Hamas is our deadly enemy. Hamas is allied with people like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Why on earth should we be neutral? Assign equal responsibility to our friends and our enemies. We wish our friends success and we wish our enemies harm. One side targets civilians and the other side does not. Hamas fires rockets at Israeli civilians. Now, you can't blame their incompetence that some of the rockets land on their own people. That's because they're idiots. They have no aim. The other thing is the Israelis are smart enough to have defenses. Hamas has no defenses. But the other point is, while people say, well, wait a minute, Dinesh, the Israelis also kill civilians. Well, they don't target them. And the reason they kill them is because of Hamas. Hamas deliberately establishes its facilities, its operations in civilian centers. They want civilian casualties because then they can use them for propaganda purposes. So this is the difference between Hamas on the one side and Israel on the other. And I could go on. Is Israel as a society is liberal. Consider, for example, the worship sites. There are Christian holy sites in Israel, there are Muslim holy sites, there are Jewish holy sites, and the Israelis allow worshippers to go to all of them. Can you imagine if Hamas were to control that territory? Do you really think the churches would be safe? Do you really think the synagogues would be safe? So one side is illiberal and the other side is liberal. The bottom line, John Oliver is right. Both-siderism is not the issue. One side, Israel, is in the right. The other, Hamas, is in the wrong. And therefore, let's hope, let's pray that the Israelis win.